Olympics alive. Feeling good, man. It's been a while.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to the Kansai Kollective. Zane, it feels great to be back in the studio with you, my man. It has been a little bit of time. Guys, we apologize. We have been setting up the systems, doing everything we can to make sure that we're bringing you guys a better product for now and into the future. So we've built a little team up now. Appreciate you, Joel. Appreciate you guys as well.
Yeah.
And
he's gonna like that.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's gonna help us, like we said, bring a better product. So we've been a little bit lagging on the videos, but internal work that we just haven't really been showing you guys. We also have a Patreon channel now, so go out there, support our Patreon. If you guys like what you're doing, you want to see us grow, please sign up to support us on Patreon. We super appreciate anything you can do. You want some stickers, you want some merch, you want to see some behind the scenes stuff, check out our Patreon. Zane, how you been, man? It's summer. What do we got here?
I'm hot.
I'm hot. It's very hot in Japan.
I know in America they say it's hot, like especially in New York, but I don't know, man. I never felt hot like I felt out here in Japan. That's why Asa gave me this really cool blue
mason jar.
It
looks refreshing.
It is very,
just with the water condensing on it. It looks refreshing. It looks
and
great.
Like I never liked watermelon until I came to Japan too. Did you?
I'm not like
that?
I mean, watermelon is good. I'm not a huge I'm not like word watermelon. Like, I mean, I'm kind of indifferent really, but that's good. It's just
in
America
filling. It's like very watery, but in here it tastes. You can actually taste the watermelon.
America, get less processed watermelons. Want the real stuff.
Yeah, man. That's my favorite Japanese fruit, seasonal fruit. I'm always like excited when summer comes.
Especially because when you're in Japan, you want a watermelon. It's about $50 for a watermelon.
That's so true.
It's crazy how expensive. Really. I mean, fruit in Japan is expensive in general, but watermelon in particular is like, I don't know. Japanese people go nuts over watermelon.
Well, that's why. Here's a little Kansai Collective tip, man. You go to where watermelons are like the Meibutsu, the
specialty.
Yeah, the special products, and they always sell them cheap because they know a lot of people are coming in. So you got to go to the source, man. Cut out the middleman. I always recommend cut out the middleman in anything you do.
You'll spend less on the trip to the area to get your melons than you would actually buying them in your local store. So it's busy time here in Japan. We are full swing, middle of summer. It's hot. It's humid, specifically here in the Kansai region. It is sticky right now, so apologize for our table decorations. But lots of news, things going on in Japan, in particular, the Olympics. The Olympics. After much debate back and forth, Japan is going through with hosting the Olympics that were delayed a year, of course, because of COVID. And a lot of people are pretty surprised about this, considering, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, we were on lockdown.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it wasn't that long ago at all.
I'm very surprised that they are going to go through with this, but it's not also surprising because if you have looked at how Japan and all of Japan in its entirety, a lot of tourism is a way that Japan makes its money. And, for what? As long as Corona's been around, foreigners have not been coming here. So that means
not coming, but not allowed to come.
Oh, not allowed to come.
You can't come even if you wanted to, unfortunately.
But yeah, so you have all these temples, or you have all these different places where these towns depend on tourism that are not getting tourism, and so Tokyo is going to start bringing those people in. But, just Corona just ended, or not even ended, but
ended in the sense that we're finally getting vaccinated here in Japan. So hopefully will be less of an issue. But I mean, bringing people in, but not really. So the Olympics are very controversial here in Japan. And for today's episode, we're going to be talking about all things regarding the Olympics. We're going to be doing a little bit of coverage over the next couple weeks as things kind of play out, because there's a lot of interesting aspects. I have to keep Zane up to date, but you've got
Yes.
the sports side of it, you've got the politics, you've got the business behind all of it. It's really interesting. So for those that aren't know, Japan is hosting the Olympics here in Tokyo. It'll be really throughout the country. However, no fans are allowed. You cannot come to the country to support. You cannot come to country to support if your family is in, if your family is an Olympian. You cannot come here to watch them. There will be no spectators at any events. Some events they're considering it, but as of currently, there's no plans to allow any spectators.
That's very weird, man.
How are you gonna make any money?
Yeah, so how is this gonna be interesting? Like, do they just put the Olympics on to see how, I guess, people's abilities are?
I mean, they're doing it because, for those of you that follow the Olympics or know much about what's happening in the Olympics are governed by the IOC, which is the International Olympic Committee. Lots of negative things can be said about the IOC. We won't go too into it, but to put it frankly, the IOC is one of the few organizations in the world that doesn't have to answer to any country. So essentially the big issue with Japan and the Olympics is the first one was postponed. The second one this year, the current Olympics, came very close to being canceled, but the IOC refused to allow Japan to cancel the Olympics, which is kind of interesting how essentially a committee, not a country, not, it's not the UN, it's not like a major government body, just the Olympic Committee could kind of, in a sense, bully Japan into going through with the Olympics. So what we're getting is in my opinion, a very watered down, low quality event simply because the IOC is forcing it to happen. So kind of weird.
How long would they have to wait for the Olympics to take place again if they were canceled this year?
They wouldn't be able to get it again. That would be it.
Okay.
So some of the business side behind this, the original budget for the Japanese Olympics was about, don't quote me, I believe it's $3 to $6 billion US was the original budget. You think that's wow. The final price tag is over $30 billion that the Japanese government has spent building infrastructure, finding people, hosting staff.
Yeah, that's true.
So needless to say, you're very over budget.
Yeah.
And they're not making that money back because, as we just said, there's no tourism. There's no spectators, right? So it's Japan, I don't know what you've talked about with your friends, but a lot of what I've talked about with people I know, Japanese people, is they don't want the Olympics here. Again, 2 weeks ago, we were in lockdown.
Right.
You couldn't even go to a bar 2 weeks ago.
Right.
As of a couple weeks ago, less than 2% of the country was vaccinated. So for the Japanese person, Japanese thinking, that's the situation we're in, and then suddenly you're going to be allowing people from overseas. Because Japan's gotten away with not a horrible COVID situation because it's an island and they've just closed off access. You can't come here, so there's no new people bringing in COVID into the country, which has kept the overall situation manageable, we'll say, right? But now for the Japanese people, they're like suddenly, oh no, now people are coming here and now COVID, it's already the worst it's been, and now people are going to add to that, right?
I mean, for you, that's Ace's friends. I'm not really sure. The people that I've talked to, they haven't said it too much about the Olympics. But if they're not allowing people to watch the Olympics, then yeah, I feel like
the question is, how are you going to make that $30 billion back? The IOC is not going to pay you for it, right? So it's very interesting. Now, I actually I was in a conversation recently on a Japan politics talk. The government is now considering banning bars and venues in Japan from having Olympic-themed events or gatherings. Because the government's like, we don't want you to spread COVID, so don't have any Olympic viewing events. So this all just adds to the overall confusing message from the government. We're going to have the Olympics, watch the Olympics, but don't support the Olympics. Help the economy, but don't help the economy. It's all very weird, right?
I mean, we are living in a very, very weird time right now, but
yes, extremely.
Who knows what this is going to do for Japan? I mean, we're on the west side of Japan, so do you think that's going to affect us in any way?
By affect, what do you mean?
Okay, so everybody's going to Tokyo. Do you think people are going to come to the Kansai area? Like how? Like,
well, the athletes aren't allowed to travel.
Okay,
they're not allowed. They're like they have to come here, stay at the athletic village, participate, and then leave.
Okay.
They actually there was something on the news where like originally the Japan was going to provide condoms for like the athletic village.
Wow.
Because that's like apparently like I would only love to partake in this part of life, but like when you're an Olympian, you're usually a very athletic person, and athletic people tend to be good looking. So
is that a fact?
I don't know if it's a fact, but I think there are. I don't know. I think there's a wide variety, but I think
we're gonna definitely get some comments from.
Let us know. What do you think? Do you think athletic people are traditionally more attractive or not? And I'm not talking about like yoked, no neck having. I mean like people who have an athletic build. I will say, right? But anyway, the point I'm making is traditionally these Olympic villages are just like, because like let's say I'm a volleyball player, right, and my events are the first 2 weeks of the Olympics, but the Olympics are 2 months.
Okay.
So I have 6 weeks of just living in this dorm with athletes from all over the world.
Wow.
Some stuff goes down with the athletic village and the Olympic village for the athletes. So Japan was going to provide condoms. They were going to be like, practice safe sex. And then they're like, actually, no condoms for anyone. Don't interact with people. So
and then boom, there you go. That's a loss of money right there. Again, a way to promote themselves. But so, yeah,
it's just
who's running this, man? Who's
the IOC? Well, it's interesting because you have an entire country that politically doesn't want it, right? What would have been best is if Japan from the beginning, if they would have just canceled, and this is an IOC problem because the IOC wouldn't allow Japan to cancel. If Japan would have canceled the 2020 Olympics, which would have made sense, right? It's a global pandemic. 2022 Olympics, the Winter Olympics, are in China. Okay. There's a lot of political tension, geopolitical stuff going on with China. So what would have happened is Japan would have canceled, and they would have put all the pressure on China and all the spotlight on China to either pull it off and, see what happens then. And then Japan could have gotten the 2024 Olympics after, of course, people would be vaccinated. Things would be, much more open. And they can learn from China's mistakes and host this kind of like, hooray, we've all come out of the pandemic together Olympic party. But instead, we now have this like forced Olympics that half the people don't want to be involved with. You have some countries that have pulled out their teams because it doesn't really make much sense.
Bro, just think about how many like hotels, how many restaurants like were like banking on like getting all of these people to come to the area, man.
Yes.
Oh my God.
My business as well. We were very excited for people to come to Japan. Yeah. But that's a huge issue. There was also, before the Olympics, one of the biggest problems in Japan was the hotel industry was severely lacking at the time. There wasn't enough hotels for the amount of people that were supposed to come. So the government from like 2018 to 2019 did nothing but subsidize and build hotels throughout the country. And those hotels have just been empty since. Because there's no one, because we know it's ryokan, right?
Yeah.
Zane, what is a ryokan?
A ryokan, usually I don't know how you would explain that, but
like a bed and breakfast.
Okay, bed and breakfast,
family hotel, kind of.
Yeah, people go there definitely on vacation. They have onsens, which are public baths. that you would spend a lot of your time in, and then you would relax in your tatami room.
It's like a traditional Japanese stay, right? You can call it an inn, a or a bed and breakfast, but those are much more common than larger hotels that we expect out west.
Okay.
Now, that being said, from 2018, now there are a lot more hotels, but because of this Olympic situation, there is no one to fill them. So kind of, again, just economic chaos all over, damage left and right.
I think Japan handles, setbacks pretty well, though. I think the future, especially because we have the
World
Osaka
Expo 2025.
Yes.
There you go. Osaka Expo. Come to Kansai 2025. We're going to have flying cars. Come check it out.
Flying cars, yeah. But I think they're definitely, because now it's like they were so dependent on like foreign tourism, but now they have to start looking inside and seeing like what can be done in order to help the economy. So hopefully, man, I don't know. Hopefully somebody.
Do you know what they're talking about? Do you know how they want to make up for the loss? Because that's a very good point. The government is like, we need to figure out how to make back $30 billion.
They say they were going to do like a what is it? The go, what is it? Wow.
Go-to campaign?
Yeah, go-to campaign.
Well, they're going to, for anyone that's interested in Japan, once the country opens up, apparently the rumor is there is going to be super subsidized travel. Yeah. So what that means in layman's terms is it's going to be really cheap to come to Japan and stay in Japan because, like Zane said, towns desperately need that tourism revenue. But just a side note, if you come to Japan as a tourist, please don't be, I'll say, a bad tourist.
What is a bad tourist?
Well, people that go to cultural sites and they they'll carve their name into something, or they'll damage something. Home. Yeah, just
don't even watch the Kansai Collective.
Don't come. So if you come here, be respectful, because there's been no tourists in Japan, and Japanese people have loved it. They've been like, oh my God, I can visit Kyoto without having to wait in line to go in a temple.
That's true.
So
that's true.
Different vibes, right? So if you come here, be respectful, but have a good time. So it's going to be really cheap to come to Japan. That's one thing. And they're thinking about legalizing all sports gambling.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I went back to America not too long ago. All you see are gambling ads everywhere. Every time you watch a sports game, they've got the over-under bets, the money line, just gambling, and Japan is like,
not going to be good, man, because Japanese people like to take things to the extreme. Like it's like drinking. You feel me? Like on a Friday night, a lot of people, it'll be like 7, 8 o'clock, and you'll see somebody just passed out,
hammered,
drunk, and so I can't even imagine with the betting, they're gonna put a lot on the line, bro.
But but they already gamble. Pachinko. People super addicted to Pachinko.
God, that is
and
so weird.
Keiba is horse betting here in Japan, and people love to bet on the horse races. So, I don't mind putting a couple dollars in on a sports game.
They're gonna bet on sports games. What sports? Oh, baseball,
basketball. It's. It's not only like, it's not Japanese sports per se. It's like any sports that are on, you can then go to wherever and bet on that, right?
Okay.
So, in America, we have FanDuel, you have DraftKings, like you have all these betting apps, and I guarantee very soon, if it passes.
Oh my God! Just imagine, bro, if they start allowing betting to happen, they're gonna have like the Pachinkos type places. You feel me? Like in every
bookies
place, every city in Osaka for sure has a Pachinko.
What is Pachinko?
I don't even know what it is. I've never stepped inside of it. You look from the outside and it's like, wild. This is weird. You just don't want to step in there.
Cocaine architecture there, some crazy stuff. Pachinko. So in Japan, gambling is illegal. I noticed the quotes because it's illegal, kind of, not really. Basically, it's illegal to gamble in exchange for money. So how Pachinko parlors, Pachinko is a type of game where you put money in and a bunch of balls fall down and they hit off little pins, and if they get in the one like little slot, you win. That's pachinko basically.
Have you played pachinko?
I've never played pachinko, but I had a student who was a pachinko parlor manager.
Oh my god!
So he gave me all the details about pachinko.
Bro, I went to Kyoto one time and to go visit a friend. There is like certain areas where the pachinko owners live.
Oh yes, pachinko owners be ballin'. You walk by a house, you're like, that's some pachinko money right there.
Super rich, like,
of course.
America, you got rich, but nah.
Well, I mean, you have the Native Americans owning like casinos out in the Indian reservations.
Okay.
Super rich. Yeah, super rich. So that's the whole premise, right? Gambling is a vice, and it doesn't matter if the economy is doing well, if the economy is doing bad, people spend money on their vices, right? So people already blow a lot of money on gambling and pachinko, and if the government can tax all that gambling now on sports, they'll probably make some of their money back. So the way gambling works, though, currently is, let's say I go to the pachinko parlor and I win like a red ball. Like, okay, jackpot is a red ball. And then I leave the pachinko parlor with my red ball. And next to the pachinko parlor is a little store. Right. And that store only buys different colored balls. Okay. And they give you money for those different colored balls. So because the rule is you can't gamble and exchange money for money on the same premise. So you spend money on if you win a little colored ball, and then you take that the little colored ball to the store next door, and you trade that for money. So that's how they loophole into making pachinko legal. But so there's no gambling, but Japanese people love to gamble. I mean, not even Japanese people. I think people in general, America is full on gambling. When I was back, that's all you see. We were watching basketball recently. You saw the commercials. Yeah. It's just betting. It's just constantly talking about sports betting.
But anywho, man, getting back to Olympics, bro. Is this something that you want to see? What are you interested in Olympics? How do you feel about this, bro?
So this Olympics, what I'm most excited about is they're introducing 4 sports for the first time that I think are awesome. This is the first year we have Olympic skateboarding.
Wow.
Pretty dope. Olympic surfing.
Okay.
Also pretty dope. Olympic karate. First time ever.
Yes, that's
and
true.
Olympic sports rock climbing.
Wow.
Speed climbing, bouldering, and freestyle.
Wow.
First time those sports have ever been in the Olympics, and I think that is awesome because I would love to see Olympic skateboard. Yeah, that's sweet. However, I think the Olympics in the current form are a scam, basically. I think that what you end up happening is what you end up having is the IOC kind of demands a country do this, that, and another, takes most of the profit, and the host country ends up throwing a party and paying for a party for the rest of the world under the idea that this will boost our economy. But traditionally speaking, like, it boosts the economy for like a week, and then like you're in super economic debt. So the last couple countries, like Rio 2016, their economy is in tatters. In 2012, it was London, and then the poor economic situation led to Brexit. 2008, it was China, and after the 2008 Olympics, the Chinese yuan crashed, their dollar crashed. 2004 was Athens. Greece is nothing but economic troubles.
Yo, you guys don't even get it, man. Asa has, like, why do you know all this,
because you should pay attention to the things happening around you. It's very important.
But why do you know where every Olympic was?
I don't know, bro. There's only been 5. Is it that hard to remember?
Yeah, I mean,
I like sports. I like knowing where the Olympics
remembers that.
Now, I can't tell you where the Winter Olympics are.
Okay.
You ask a Canadian, they'll probably be able to. They'll be like, oh, well, we played hockey here and we played hockey there. And we did that. I can't do winter, but the summer ones. But the point is, these host countries end up building all this infrastructure. And the main problem is it's never used again, right? If I spend $1 million to build a stadium in the middle of the mountains where no one lives, so that people can watch Olympic kayaking, that's really cool. But I'm not going to go to the middle of the woods afterwards to watch kayaking. So there's actually an interesting thing to Google. There's actually, like, you can Google, I forget the website, but you can look up abandoned Olympics, because what happens mostly is these huge stadiums just get abandoned. So they're like really kind of dystopian future kind of vibe. So my recommendation, how do you fix the Olympics? First and foremost, completely change or get rid of the current IOC. They come off as a huge scam, and it comes off as super corrupt. Let's build an island in the middle of the ocean, and every 4 or every 2 years, we have Olympics there.
ASA for the people, man.
ASA for the athletes, for the fans, for a better Olympic events. So guys, this is just the beginning of Olympic conversations. There's a lot of stuff going on right now at the Olympics. I'm sure we will make another video or two talking about some of the developments. If you guys like this video, remember to subscribe, check out our other social media accounts. We've got our podcast up as well. That's going to be pumping out some episodes. And we've got our Patreon. Woo! Go on there and support us. The more you support us, the better product we can bring all of you. So thank you again, guys. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.